PUSHLiving.com presents the Wheelchair Accessible Lifestyle Podcast, pushing the boundaries of disability-inclusive design, travel, and lifestyle. Here, you'll find stories of triumph, courage, and clarity. You'll discover you're not alone and hear from inspirational guests from the disability community and beyond. You'll get fresh reviews of the best inclusive travel locations and fabulous products to help make your life more functional, healthy, and fun. We will intrigue, enlighten, and encourage you to live your best life on wheels. Whether you're a wheelchair entrepreneur, a stay-at-home mom or dad, or newly disabled, you will love the advice and ideas we share to help you learn, grow, and push your own boundaries. Now, let's roll.
Hello, and welcome to the Push Living podcast. This is Deborah Davis, your host. Today we have an amazing young lady that I Push Living found on Instagram, actually. You have to follow her. Her name is Maegan Blau, Blau like wow. She is the owner and the founder of a interior design firm called Blue Copper Designs, Blue being the German translation from Blau. So Blue, Blau, makes kind of sense. I love that name, by the way, Blue Copper Designs. So Maegan is a C6-8 quadriplegic incomplete, just like myself, actually, which is kind of a coincidence. And she started her life over and found design and started her own design firm and is doing amazing things in that space. So I want to welcome her today. Welcome, Maegan.
Thank you, Deborah. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. I know it's just going to be girls talk. Okay. We're going to get down and dirty. Just you and me, nobody else. Not just kidding. Okay. So you founded Blue Copper Design. Tell me a little bit about, because everybody always wants to know what happened. So how did you become a spinal cord injury to start?
Yeah. So I've been a wheelchair user for, I think it'll be 12 years this year. When I was 17, I dove into a pool, hit the bottom, broke my neck that way. So that's how I had my spinal cord injury. I'm here in Arizona. So I spent about 2 months or so at Blau Neurological Institute or whatever it's called. So did my inpatient rehab there. And then for about a year after my injury, I was in outpatient therapy. So I think I did 2 different kinds of outpatient therapy, but I really just spent that next year focusing on rehab, getting better, going to therapy appointments 3 to 4 times a week, as much as I could,
That's wonderful. Did your insurance cover that?
It did for the most part.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
It did for the most part. Being 17, I was in a unique situation where I was still on my parents' insurance. And so they had pretty good insurance. And then when I turned 18, I applied for Medicare or Medicaid. I get confused personally still, whichever one. So I was able to have both of those. And I know that a lot of legislation and laws have changed around that, about how many therapy appointments you can have in a year. Mm-hmm. But back then it was quite a lot here in Arizona. So that was 2009.
Okay. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And thank you for talking and being so honest, because a lot of people want to know, well, how did she get all that therapy? Most people are kicked out of the hospital in 6 weeks now, right? I was fortunate. I got to stay in for 6 months, but that was a long time ago. I'm a little older than you.
Yeah, I've heard about those stories.
Those days. It's like I cried leaving Rusk Institute, it was a really traumatic situation when you're newly injured and you bond, with your new environment in the hospital with all your friends, and then you have to go out in the real world. So then you enter the real world and you go right into college. So tell me about, why did you go to college? What did you study? And tell me a little bit about that experience being a brand new 18-year-old girl in a wheelchair.
Yeah, so fun. So I was 17 when my accident happened, but I just graduated college 2 weeks before. So
college?
Or I'm sorry,
high school.
Thank you.
That's what I'm saying. What? She's a little baby genius. You didn't tell me.
I'm not a genius. No. I just graduated high school 2 weeks before. So it was that summer in between high school and college. And my plans were to go up to NAU, which is in Flagstaff here in Arizona, and study environmental science. And for like a split second, I was holding on to that dream. But, you know, Flagstaff is like a small mountain town, and I didn't really know anyone up there. And it didn't seem that feasible to be newly injured and then dealing with like snow and hills and like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I did online classes through NAU for that first year while I was like focusing on therapy and rehab. And then the following year, I started at ASU.
Which is what? Is it Arizona State?
Arizona State.
Okay. Okay. So that's a lot flatter and drier and easier to manage.
Yes.
It was an accessible campus?
Super accessible.
Okay.
That's the great thing about living in the Phoenix area. Like everything is so flat, and which is great for us wheelchair users. And the buildings are fairly new, like compared to the other parts of the country that I've been to. So I feel like the ADA laws are pretty up to date. Like I don't feel like I have a lot of concern about using public buildings. So with ASU, it's only gotten better. But when I was there, they still had some older buildings that were like retrofitted in weird ways.
Yeah.
They made
But
it
you
work.
recommend it then. Well, that's a really good for our audience to hear. So if anybody has a child or is thinking about going back to school or moving, it sounds like Phoenix is a great place to be.
Yeah, I would say so. I find, you know, the warm weather is great. The fact that there's no snow.
But well, because I'm from Florida and I came to school in Florida. So we're flat and we're ADA. We're like one of the best codes in the world in Miami-Dade County actually is the best code in the world.
Yeah.
People don't know that. But it's humid here. So you have a very dry heat. I mean, I went out to visit my friend Gina there. I did a conference for the Florida Speakers Association. Yeah, Gina. Yeah, she hosted me.
She was one of my mentors when I was in the hospital.
Oh, hi, Gina. We love you. Gina's been on our podcast before. She's freaking fascinating. So anyway, she hosted me because I had to go to a national speakers convention kind of thing out there. And I had a hard time with the heat and the dryness. How are you you're a native, so does it really bother you?
No, it bothers me. I put up with it. I feel like most people do. I don't mind it as much. Like the cold definitely affects me more.
Right. Okay.
Before my injury, it was the opposite. Like I wanted to be up in the mountains, like I said, up in Flagstaff where it's cold up there. So yeah, but now being in a chair, the heat is more comfortable, but it is more dangerous.
Okay.
And the cold is just like really uncomfortable. Like you get that like bone chilling shiver that you can't get rid of unless you're like by a fire, like a heater or something.
So you have the autonomic deregulation of temperature issue because you're a higher level spinal cord injury.
I can, yeah. I still, to be honest, I haven't really figured out like what is AD and what is not for me. Like I'm still kind of on that journey because my symptoms aren't like typical AD symptoms, but I have like experienced a few times of overheatingness, and it's just something I'm really cautious about. And like, you know, if your chair is out in the sun too long and then your leg touches it, like you don't want to get burned.
Oh my gosh, I can imagine that happening in Arizona. So just so the audience understands, AD is called autonomic dysreflexia. What I was referring to is her autonomic system, which controls also regulation of temperature. So people who have a spinal cord injuries that are the C cervical section have both those issues. We'll do some show notes and give you some articles and some feedback on how to deal with those if you want to research it more. But basically, when you have an autonomic issue, when you can't regulate temperature, you don't sweat and you freeze if it gets cold because your body doesn't create its own heat. So in regulation to the outside. So if normal people get cold, their bodies get hotter and they regulate. And if you get hot, you sweat to regulate. We lost that. So I've been really having an emotional journey this week about the people in Texas. Like I've been just a wreck. I mean, it's just, I can't imagine you and I wouldn't survive a night in that situation. And, you know, I just pray that those people are okay. And I've reached out and I found out that, you know, there are some services that are helping people. So hopefully that's going to work out. But
yeah, it's a nightmare. I have some friends who live in Texas, and one of my best friends is 41 weeks pregnant.
Oh my God.
And she was she'll be fine with me sharing this, but
she's spinal cord?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
She doesn't have a spinal cord injury. She's able-bodied, but she was supposed to get induced today, got admitted, everything hooked up, and they sent her home because they just don't have that much
Oh
resources.
God.
So she's like
What a
past due on her
nightmare.
pregnancy. It's a nightmare. She called me today and I was like, I feel so bad for you. I'm like, oh my
Like, do it
goodness.
the
So
old fashioned way
I
and
feel
wait
bad
till
for
the
me
baby
too.
pops. Yeah. Just
It's a scary
hopefully she
time
has
for a lot of people.
electricity. Okay, so tell me something. I heard that you got some scholarships. Were they related to your geniusness or were they related to disability? Let's talk about that in case anybody in our audience is looking to go to college.
Yeah, of course. No, not related to geniuses. I was not a baby genius. My scholarships came, so I did prepare to pay for college on my own before my injury. And I did have a few scholarships that lapsed because of, like not being able to use them the way that I thought. So
Wow.
during one of the best parts of my rehabilitation was really getting connected to the community. And they introduced me to vocational rehab. So I don't
Excellent.
know. I know it's a state by state thing. So
Yeah.
I believe every state has some kind of vocational rehab. I'm not an expert on that, but it's definitely something to look into.
I'm going to put a link in the show notes. Thank you for mentioning that. That is super, super helpful. So vocational rehabilitation is a state program and they do pay for tuition. So they also, by the way, they will also do self-employment. So consider that. If people like yourself, you need a business plan or, other self-employment help if you can't do the full thing. Okay, so you leave rehab and you go to college and you start this environmental degree, which is great. What made you think that was what you wanted, and why the switch into what you're doing now, being a certified interior designer?
So I don't know. I think in high school, the environmental science industry was very appealing to me. Like I am a hippie at heart and there's definitely a lot of opportunity to make change in the way that, our energy is being produced or the way that things are just operate here, and going into more of those like greener, finding more greener solutions to this energy issue that we have. So I was really, really into that at the time. And to be honest, I just kind of fell out of love with it the more that I learned about it. Like I definitely still hold those values, like want to be a part of it on like a civilian level and doing your part to,
Oh, good. That's
save
fancy.
our
You can
planet.
incorporate.
Yeah, like it's still something I'm very cautious about and passionate about, but as far as like what my everyday day-to-day job was going to be, it just didn't seem appealing to me once I learned what that really, really was. And so I didn't switch my major because I didn't love school that much. And I knew I would figure it out one way or the other. I was like, maybe there's still something for me in this environmental realm. And it's just, I'll have to go find it in a different way. But the way it was being presented to me in college, I was like, oh, I thought I wanted to do this and I just don't want to do this. So
Okay.
my life.
That's
So
okay. Yeah. So you switched because why? Like, how did you get into this world?
So when I was in college, I was working at Lululemon, the like yoga clothes retailer. And
You can't bring those into an MRI, by the way.
Really?
Just so you know. Yeah, where I live in a kind of cute little suburb town where a lot of women are all wearing yoga pants all day. And apparently there's metal in them and somebody caught on fire. So don't go into they make sure that you're not wearing Lululemon pants.
Their shirts, this is a tidbit for people off topic, but their shirts do have like a silver thread in them, some of them. And they do that because it's antimicrobial, like naturally.
Oh,
So it's
nice.
like reduces odor. So I bet you that
must be what it is. They actually asked me, are those pants? And I'm like, no. First of all, they're really expensive. And unless I'm getting them on eBay or something, I'm not, no. That's okay.
They are really expensive.
Yeah.
But the way I got that job was really fun. I was like home for a minute at my parents' house, and I was picking up my sister. We were going to the mall, and my dad was like giving me a hard time about not having a job. And I was like, I'm in a wheelchair and I'm going to school full time. Like, what do you mean I need a job? So he was like,
I love your dad.
Paying for stuff. And I was like, fine, I'll go get a job. So I was like,
Oh, I love your dad. He's the German, right? He's a German dad. Okay.
Yeah, he is. But yeah, so I was scouting out like stores I might want to work at the mall. And I was like, I love Lululemon. I can't afford it. So maybe I can get an employee discount. Rolled in there, asked if they were hiring. And then like the next week went through the interview process and got hired. So
I love that. Oh, you go, girl.
Dad, I can get a job.
Oh my God. You know, it makes such a huge difference to have that kind of influence and that kind of parent when you are a person with a disability. So any of the parents out there who are listening to this, Maegan and I both had fathers like that. My father kicked my butt out of rehab and sent me to the University of Miami. I was crying. He made me go through the whole process. I was like, I'm not living by myself. I can't do this. People are going to stare at me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the best thing you can do for your children or your adults with disabilities is, get them to be independent. It's a little scary, of course, and, probably more for you, but kick them out of there, kick them out of the nest, and don't be, coddling them to death, because look at Miss Maegan and what she's created in her life.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I would say like, we don't need to be coddled. That experience working there. So I ended up working there for 4 years and I gained so much confidence because I think people would have, people would have looked at me, or I would have even looked at myself over time and be like, you can't work a retail job.
Yeah.
Like there are some jobs that we're not going to be suited for. Waitressing seems to be one of those. Like, I'm not saying that if it's your dream to be a waitress, you could probably figure it out, but like, there are certain jobs where you're like, that might not be the best job for me physically. And retail kind of fell into that category, but I proved myself wrong with that, which is great. So
excellent. I know some people who've been in Victoria's Secret, like, I think Maria worked in Victoria's Secret for a while. We'll tag her and ask her. But okay, so you went into Lululemon and then you were doing what there? And
I worked my way up in the store and like through the management chain. And then by the time at the end of my career, the last 2 years, I worked with visual merchandising. So I worked on the visual merchandising team and then ended up being the head of visual mercandising, which was awesome.
Maegan, making big bucks, girl.
I know, it was so fun. And the way that they're unique than other retail stores in that like every store is in charge of their own visual merchandising. So we had guidelines, but we never had templates. Like I heard other places, like they have templates and people just put it exactly where like corporate told them to put it, all the clothes and things. But we really had like a lot of creativity. And so I was in charge of redoing the store 2 times a week. We would move stuff around. And so very much that for me, like I would do everything I could reach, but the things I couldn't reach, like I had to be very like direct and calm and not bossy and like be very like, like lead people how to do what my vision was. And I just fell in love with that process. I fell in love with it so much that I started not really liking the other parts of my job. Like I just wanted to like move clothes around. And then simultaneously, my boyfriend and I, he's my husband now, but we were dating at the time. We bought a house and we were renovating it to make it wheelchair accessible for me. So we were tackling the master bathroom and the kitchen and using one of his best friends who's a big contractor here in Arizona. And I was like, okay, I'll tell him what to do. Like I'll order everything. Like I'll direct it. Didn't really realize that was the job of an interior designer at the time. Was basically just like sharing my vision. So I was like sharing my vision at work, sharing my vision at home, both in creative, like design ways, just in different, spaces.
Yeah,
and it
makes sense.
One day. Yeah, it just clicked one day. I was like, you need to be doing something creative. Like you love this kind of.
Oh, Maegan, that's fantastic. Oh gosh. Yeah. And you were still in your 20s probably. So you're young enough to really, that's a gift that was able to happen to you, right? I can tell you a lot of people with spinal cord or newly injured, they don't know. And it's hard to find your passion, right? And so I congratulate you. That is a huge blessing. We'll get to that a little later. I want to kind of tap into that a little more, but you just mentioned something that I want to go back to, your husband. So one of the nice things that came out of your college career is you got to meet this cute guy who, so tell me a little bit about that story and how you guys started dating. First of all, how does a girl in a wheelchair, I don't mean this to be condescending, but listen, folks, it is a different world for us. Let's not kid ourselves. You know, when
Right.
you roll into the Rathskeller, you know, you're going to get noticed for not always, you know, how cute your eyes are. And maybe it's like, why are you in a wheelchair? You know, so it's a whole different challenge. So how did this whole thing happen for you?
Yeah, so my husband's name is Chris, and so we've been dating 10 years. We've been married for, well, this will be our 6th year marriage.
6-year marriage, so 16,
Yeah.
17 years together. Wow.
Yeah. Well, no, we've been together for 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but 4 of those we
Okay.
dated, and then 6 we've been married. So Chris is a unique guy. Love him. He also knows Gina, so shout out Gina. She'll probably know this story too. So kind of a longer story short, Chris's dad is a neuro PT here in Arizona, and he's been doing it for like 20,
A
30 years.
neurophysical therapist.
Yes, a neurophysical therapist. So he has his own clinic, and he has, you know, a bunch of people who work for him. And so Chris thought he wanted to be a neurophysical therapist, and so he was his tech for a few years. And while he was his tech, he met my friend Maddie, who's also in a chair, who I actually mentored in the hospital. That's how we became friends. And she ended up going to his clinic for outpatient PT. And when we would talk, when Maddie and I would talk separately, she'd be like, I know this like really cute guy. His name's Chris. Like, we should hang out. And I'm like, okay. And so I never really thought anything of it until she invited both of us to her birthday party. We met for the first time there. I don't remember meeting my husband at all because like he did not make an impression on me. He remembered meeting me, did not like me when he first met me, like not for the wheelchair or anything. He just thought I was like rude to him for something.
Sounds like you were. You don't ever remember meeting the poor guy.
Apparently we had like a full.
You must have blown him off.
I know exactly what happened. So my friend Maddie, whose birthday it was, our mutual friend, she was looking to get her first adaptive car, and he was telling her to get a pickup truck, and I was like, no, don't get that. Like, you're not gonna like that. As a girl in Arizona, it's gonna get hot, it's gonna get dusty. What if it rains? Like, and I was like, who is this guy? Like, he doesn't know anything.
He's not in our quip world. Like, who is he?
Yeah.
So
it's like, that's a terrible idea. He doesn't know. And I apparently like said that out loud. And so he's like, I don't like you.
She's a bossy woman. She's bossy over here.
But I was just like, who is this Joe Schmo? Like, he doesn't know anything about wheelchairs. And I know that situation works for a lot of people. I'm not saying it's a bad situation, but like for her, I was like, I don't think that's going to work for you.
Yeah.
So fast forward a couple weeks, I attended a spinal cord injury camp that the Arizona Spinal Cord Injury Association was putting on annually at that time. I don't think they are anymore. I can't remember. And Chris was volunteering at that camp with his dad. And like from his side, driving up into the mountains, he was like, asked his dad, like, hey, do you think that Maegan girl's going to be there? And his dad's like, yeah, I think so. And he's like, I don't like her. Like, I cannot stand her.
He
and
really liked you.
Yeah, probably. But his dad was like, she's actually really cool. Like she's a badass. Like, she's cool. And he's like, I don't know, I don't like her. And we didn't interact at all that whole weekend. He avoided me. Apparently I still didn't even look at him until like the very last day. We were getting in the car and I saw him from like across, and I was like, he's kind of cute. Like, I wonder if we could he would date me, like go on a date with me. And I just asked for his number. He gave me the right one and started texting. We started texting like immediately once we got service and hung out, and then that's it. So I was like, why did you give me the right number if you didn't like me? He's like, I panicked. I didn't know what to do.
Oh my gosh. So I'm trying to get this wrapped in my head. So you really are ballsy. So you see this guy from across the way. See, he's kind of cute. I wonder if he'll date me. And you go up to him and say, hey, can I have your number? Is that how that worked?
And I was 19. So I was like,
tell me exactly how you did that, please. Because I think everybody
exactly how I did it. I just was like, hey, like, we should go out sometime. Can I get your number?
Wow.
And
I've never done that.
I didn't even know that I met him previously.
You know what? We should do a push living challenge, push romance, and make everybody go up to some guy who's cute and ask him that question and see what happens.
You like got to turn on the charm. And I think, there's like few moments in my life where I do have like a little bit of ballsy moments like that. It's not all the time, but for me, I was like, what do I have to lose? Like, I did it, which I thought I was never going to see him again. Well, back to his dad being a neurophysical therapist, he is involved in a lot of like the activities, I guess, for spinal cord injury and brain injury. And his dad actually taught me how to scuba. I knew this. I knew his dad for probably a year and a half. His dad helped me get scuba certified, and we went to Mexico together. He was my scuba buddy, but I had no idea.
So you already knew the dad. You're already in the family.
Yeah, I already knew his dad. Like his dad already knew me. That's why he's like, she's cool. Like, I don't know why you don't like her. She's cool.
All right, so let's talk first date. Let's fast forward. I want to know the juicy stuff.
Oh my gosh. Well, my ballsiness, I guess, kept going on the first date. So that was back in August. We were dating for 2 months, so we didn't become like officially a boyfriend girlfriend until like October. And my birthday's in September. And I just asked him, I was like, so you're going to take me on a date for my birthday? And he was like, I guess. He wasn't going to. And then he did after that. And at like a year later, he was like, you remember that date? And we went to Cheesecake Factory. And he's like, and you ordered like everything. And he's like, I was so nervous because I had like $200 in my bank account. And I'm over here ordering like appetizers and dessert and like whatever.
It's my birthday.
Yeah, he's like,
you are adorable.
Like, is my card gonna get denied? Like, we were young, I was 19, he was 22.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so how do you deal with the whole, I'm now injured, have I tried to have intimacy with boys? Let's get real a minute. Tell me as much as you feel comfortable, it's fine. But I remember, I dated a guy for a year and I wouldn't do it because I was afraid. I mean, I'll be honest. Yeah. I was afraid. I was like, I don't know what it's going to be like. And I just didn't. Poor guy was really patient. So how did you get through that portion of your single female new spinal cord injury self life?
Yeah. I had had sex before I was injured. So I had sex when I was like 16, I think. So, but it was terrible. Like 16-year-old sex is terrible for most people. But I was kind of not, when I met my husband, I wasn't actively searching to like get into the dating pool or like conquer intimacy with someone. It just kind of happened. And so our story was kind of unique because I was just really looking to like fool around with him at the beginning. Like I was just like, let's casually date. I didn't think it would turn into a marriage.
Wow.
at the very, very beginning. And so he is actually he grew up Mormon. So he's LDS. For those who know, it's like a branch of Christianity, and they have pretty strict rules around like premarital sex is a no, like drinking, smoking is a no, like all of that kind of stuff is not really tolerated. So he was a virgin when we met. And so I remember like for probably a month or two, like trying to like have sex with him, and he would be like, no, like we're not going to do that. I'm like, what's going on? Because in my experience, I just thought like, guys want to have sex,
Right.
So it was kind of, I felt it was cute looking back because it was almost like my first time being paralyzed, and exploring our sexuality. And then it was his first time ever. So having sex. And so we kind of got to like, it was like different levels of virginity, I guess.
That's fantastic. He has no idea what it's like with another guy, so he has nothing to compare to. I love it.
So I don't know.
We're Mormons.
Virgin is the way to go.
I think that's a really good idea.
That might be bad advice. I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with that, like meeting multiple new partners and like experiencing like sexual encounters or intimacy or anything like that. But with him, it was cute, and it was more.
So did you wait till you were married?
No.
Okay.
No.
Don't tell the father.
It was only like a month or two.
You see, we're not going to get him excommunicated now, are we?
Yeah, no, he's good. He drinks, smokes. He has.
Oh.
Yeah, he's
right.
good.
I can't wait to meet him.
Yeah.
So I understand that we're going to put a link to his company. Doesn't he do some type of security or something?
He does. Yes. So right now he's taking his real estate test. So he's trying to get his real estate license. His company is 1911 Syndicate. They have a YouTube page where they review like firearms, and their real estate company is geared towards helping veterans, first responders, law enforcement. and things like that. So
he sounds like a nice guy.
he is
So
a
we'll
nice,
follow him and make sure that we all learn about how to shoot our
yeah.
guns and what to do if we need to protect ourselves.
Yes.
And what a perfect job for him and you together. Real estate, you're like, you should have your own TV show. Real estate and interior designer on wheels. I'm all in it.
Yeah, it might happen one day. And it didn't even, I told him like maybe 7 years ago that he should probably get his real estate license
Wow.
for selfish reasons. Cause I was like, if I'm a designer, that would be great. And then he's so personable. And he was like, meh. And then his friend comes along and he's like, you should get your real estate license. And,
And they do it.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
sure.
I've heard, yeah. So what is your sign, Megan, your horoscope?
I'm a Libra.
Okay. Okay.
My husband's a Gemini. So is my sister. So is my best friend. I am a Gemini magnet. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm a
Okay.
Sagittarius. So you're very, I love your ballsiness. I love your honesty. I love the way that you drive yourself. So let's go back to the business part. I love the story about your husband. Thank you for sharing all that. That's wonderful. I won't ask you about how sex is now. We'll leave that out, but we'll talk about, people can always write you separately.
Yeah,
All right, now back to business. That's what we're here to talk about, your business. So you've always been this creative person. You grew up in this environment. You said that your grandparents had like a furniture store. So you started designing Lululemon. It all kind of clicked. You started your business. So what was the moment where you go, okay, I'm just going to open up a web page and become this actual designer and have a company? I mean, you got people working for you, girl. You got a big firm. You're doing like 50-50 virtual consults. I mean, this girl is taking off and it's only going to go up from here. So how, first of all, for those of us and those people are out there who want to do this, how do you start? Like step one.
Yeah, step one is good. So for me, step one was researching the interior design world. Like once I decided, okay, I think I want to be an interior designer, it was a lot of researching. It was a lot. I was trying to find someone else who does adaptive interior design specifically. And if you're out there, please DM me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't find a lot of resources with that. So I was like, okay, I feel like there's a hole here. So then it's almost like step one went to step two of like, this might be a good idea. Step three, like do more research. So step one is a research phase. Like if you have an idea, see if it's already been done. And if it has been done, it doesn't mean you can't do it. You just want to see how you can do it differently, or add to it or make something better. Or maybe it's a geographical thing. So if it's being done in California, but it's not being done in Florida, like, we can do it in Florida. So something like that. That would be step one. Step two, so that was my step one personally. Step two is I felt, like I said, school wasn't like my forte. I didn't love being in school. And so in that research, I really found that like I didn't need a bachelor's degree to be an interior designer. So why waste that time and money to go back and get one if I don't need it? But I did find a certificate program in my area that was 6 months. So I spent 6 months in interior design school, just specifically learning about design practices and techniques and things, which helped build my confidence a lot. So that would be kind of a step two. So see if, there is any kind of training that you would need. Maybe you don't, maybe it's a certificate. Maybe it's just like brushing up on stuff you can find on YouTube, like something like that.
Okay. And VR probably pay for that kind of certificate too.
No, they didn't.
Oh, okay.
I didn't ask them to.
Because they paid for your college. I mean,
because they paid for my college. Yeah. And I know, like, I know that vocational rehab has gone through many phases. Like back when I was in college, they were like, oh, back in the day, they would pay for all of these things. And now it's this much. And now it's this much. So I don't know where it's at today.
I guess it depends on the school.
Yeah. It wasn't a big financial commitment for me. And so I just.
Okay. So you get the certificate. How do you start the business?
So I knew my end goal was to have a business, but for me too, building that confidence, and just kind of seeing what this world was about, because interior design in general is very mysterious for people. And I think it's mysterious because everyone works differently. So there's not like a big code of like, this is how you do it. This is how you file your taxes. Like it's not an accountant. It's not, I don't know. Everyone has a different business model and charges differently and works differently. So there's no standard, I guess.
Okay.
And so I started working for other people. I worked for a commercial firm. Yeah. So if you have the time and if you have the wherewithal, if you have the time and you want to build confidence and you also need to get paid a little bit, then I would suggest maybe that's your step one instead of school or
Oh, I
step two.
love it. I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
This is some seriously good advice. Thank you very, very much. So step one, research. Two, get out there and intern or go into a company that's doing it, see if you actually like to do it. And then step three, start your own business. And how do you do that?
Start your own business. And it's different for every state. So I started an LLC. I got a website up and going. I worked with a branding person. So I did all of that. And it's kind of like, here I am, especially with a service or even a product. You're like, here I am. And you just like wait for people to come. And so for me, it was about building a portfolio. So I did that within my own house, like we've sold that first house that I talked about remodeling. We are in our second house now, my husband and I. We remodeled that. I documented it. I spent a lot of money at Target and Home Goods, like styling things.
Fantastic.
I would buy stuff, take pictures of it and return it.
Okay.
A portfolio builder.
Yeah, hashtag Target.
Yeah, seriously, like it was kind of bad to the point that Target people were like, hey Maegan, they like knew me by name and I was like, hi.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I'm so sorry, like the tags are still on, like I would just like turn it. So yeah, I would say.
So you would use your social media at that point where you already invested. Okay, so that's you're of the Instagram age.
I'm of the Instagram age. I think it's the best tool that we have. Obviously,
especially for a designer, obviously.
So
yes. Well, a lot of people use in Instagram, for personal reasons, and some just to be influencers, I guess. Yeah. Beauty or whatever it is that they want to influence. But you have a business, and you're selling a service, okay, which is a product. You're not selling yourself necessarily. Although I did notice that there you were, this girl in a wheelchair, and it said Blue Copper Designs. And I'm like, I went on your website, and I want to let you know that I could not tell right off the bat that you were the owner. Mm-hmm. So I had to write you, or we wrote you, and then we said, was she the owner? Like, I hope she is. And you were. I'm like, okay, well, that's not really obvious. So look, you could have just been an employee for all I know. Yeah. So yeah, congratulations on that. So how long have you been in business now?
I'm in my third year. So.
And how's it going?
It's going good. The past 6 months have been crazy. So the first year was a lot of, getting set up. I was also doing some work for someone else at that time too. And since I've stopped that, but I realized like I did it for like financial purposes to still get paid while I was setting up my business, but I couldn't manage both. Like I couldn't try to be a full-time business owner and then work partially full-time for someone else. It did not work out. No. So I had to let that go. So the first year was a little funky in that way. The second year was great, just a lot of clients, and every client is such a win, like in a service.
How are you getting your clients? Were you seeking them out, or were they coming to you? Like, how did that work?
A lot of them were word of mouth. So my biggest client that I got last year was from actually a girl that I went to design school with, and she ended up not becoming an interior designer, worked for a realtor. These people hired the realtor to buy their house. They asked the realtor, like, hey, do you know of any interior designers? He knew that his interior design school, she didn't want to do the job. She gave it to me. So amazing.
That's wonderful.
Amazing. And it turned into a great, great job. And so I just feel like every little interaction with someone has helped. So definitely word of mouth or referrals. And then it was probably like 20% from social media in the beginning. Okay. And then as of now, it's probably 50-50. So I'm getting like 50% of people saying like, hey, I found you on Instagram with this hashtag. And then 50% still referrals. So.
I'm so excited because someone like me, not that I am, but if I were to be wanting to redesign my bathroom or a bedroom, just one property, and I wanted it to be accessible for myself and be beautiful, and I may not be good at that, I could just send you some pictures of the space, and you can tell the contractors what to do and advise them, and then also tell me what to buy. And how does that work?
Yeah, so I offer 3 different services right now. Full service design, that is hands-on. I'm there in person from start to absolute finish, like from, your empty room or whatever until ordering the products, the final pillow fluff, everything all the way through. Really similar to like what you see on an HGTV kind of show.
But you can't do that virtually.
No, not yet. I'm trying to figure it out, but because of that, I offer virtual design as well. So I actually started that before the pandemic, but after the pandemic, it's completely taken off. My idea for virtual design was, I'm in my later 20s and I have a lot of friends in this age group too, where we don't necessarily have all of the money in the world to like redo a whole space all at one time. Not a lot of people have enough money to spend to redo their whole living room in one day. But I would have like people in my demographic, my friends, reach out and be like, hey, like I really want to hire you, but like I can't do that, but can you help me? And I was like, there has to be a way to help with this. Like this is something I'm getting asked about a lot. So I started virtual design for that reason. And I've been servicing people all over the country with that, which is awesome. So that would be, Deborah, like you're saying, like I have my clients then for virtual design, send me pictures and measurements. We do a virtual consultation, talk about, what your style is, what you're looking for. And then I build a design plan that I send to you. And then you're in charge of the execution. So that's the give and take.
So we approve the design plan. You tell me where to get it. Like buy this here, buy that there, buy those drapes, buy those, rods, or, even down to flooring, I'm assuming, and comforters and pillows. And you'll get all that for me. You'll tell me where to get it.
Yep. I'll tell you where to get it.
Excellent day.
Yeah, then you're just in charge of the execution, but that gives you the freedom.
Do you order it as well and ship it to me?
Nope, not with virtual design. That's all you. So that's the benefit of a lower cost. So that's priced per room, where my full service design is per hour. So it's two different pricing structures, but that way you can be like, this month I'm going to buy XYZ. Next month I'm going to buy this. You can wait for sales. So if you have coupons, things like that.
Excellent. I love it. So we want to help you because the Push Living audience is going to want to refer people to you. So everybody, what is your Instagram handle, please?
My Instagram handle is Blue Copper Design. And
it's copper, COOPER.
No, COPPER.
C-O-1-O. Okay.
You're testing my
giving
spelling.
you Cooper. It's not Cooper, guys. It's copper. Like copper. I love that name, by the way. It's beautiful. So, anyway, so real estate people can also refer you clients. Obviously, within our own networks, we can refer you clients. I guess architects, right?
Yeah, I do. I found an architect here in Arizona who does also work with ADA law and like adaptive design things. So that's been fun.
Contractors. There you go. Okay.
Yep. I found some contractors too who have also been working with, adaptive showers and like have a little bit of knowledge and accessibility. So I'm trying to build my team constantly of people. And then I want to mention the other service that I offer because it's a little bit less involved, I guess, but I also offer accessibility consulting. So this is for people. It's a one-time meeting. It's a 90-minute meeting. I've had a lot of people ask, like, I'm building a house, I'm renovating a house, like I'm already working with this and I just have a few questions. So we can go over the floor plan. If you're already working with like a home builder or an architect or a contractor, we can have them come and sit in on the meeting as well.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, maybe I can give some accessibility tips that, they wouldn't
have thought of. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't have thought of it. Okay, great. Okay, so how do you, so you were talking about before about how it was really difficult for you to be working this full-time job and then taking on another full-time job. And I get it, girl. I mean, it's hard for us to work a sustain. Not everybody, okay? But I know a lot of people, so I'm not speaking for everyone, so I don't want to hear any backlash, people. But it is hard for me personally. I know, Maegan, you've mentioned it to me before in our pre-talk, that it's hard for you to sustain 8 hours straight. at one session every single day. And that's by being a designer, being able to have your own business is really conducive for people like you and I and other people with disabilities, because we can, we have a low blood pressure moment, whatever the issues are, we need to just accommodate our lives and our physicality. And we can work later to make up for that time, off, or maybe earlier, or whatever it is that's convenient. So what do you do? Just give me an idea of what your schedule is first. And what do you do to keep healthy and maintain? I mean, you're doing a lot, you're growing. How do you maintain it? How do you stay disciplined and physically capable of keeping up?
Yeah, that's a great question. And when I was working like my retail job or working for the commercial firm, like the days were long, and especially with a commute, like it was, spending, adding that extra 30 minutes to an hour in the car.
Exhausting.
It's exhausting. And then trying to get to the gym in between that, like it's exhausting. It's exhausting for anybody. And it's especially exhausting when you're in a chair. Like sometimes you need to get out of your chair, put your feet up, just to decompress your body.
Do you have your feet up right now?
No, I don't. I probably will after this.
I do. I have a stool underneath. I have to send you Miss Designer. I have a little stool bench.
Yeah, you'll have to.
I'll send you a picture. Well, actually, I'll link it here, that I keep my feet up on, but it doesn't cause me pressure on my heels. So my legs, my calf is on it, but my foot is off the end. So it's just a pressure on all my calves kind of evenly.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Maybe that will make me
the
be more
swelling feet syndrome.
Yeah, the swelling feet is not good. And I always relate, like, if like someone's standing all day and they get to sit down, and that's a relief. Like for us, me personally, I feel like our sitting is our standing. So it's like when I get to lay down, that's like a relief. So taking those little breaks throughout the day is great. But yes,
so is this your home office right there?
This is my home office.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Tell me what you're doing.
This is my broken standing frame. It's stuck in the up position. I can't figure out how to get it down. So that's a problem.
Honey, where's Hubby when you need him?
It's on our to-do list, trust me. So that was something I would do every day. And then I got stuck in it. He had to get me out of it. Anyways, I need to get it fixed. But my whole experience with spinal cord injury, I've kept a very diligent schedule as far as like bowel care, bladder care, understanding like when I do need to transfer out of my chair and things. So that has definitely carried over into my work life. I use the bathroom. I get up relatively the same time every day. I use the bathroom right away in the morning, every single day, no questions asked. Like,
wait, hold on, back up. What time do you get up? Do you not have coffee or eat? You just go right to the bathroom?
I usually, I'll have coffee sometime.
Okay.
Yeah. Depending on how tired I am. But I usually get up between like 6 and 7 on just a normal day. But sometimes with like, I'll have to be across town at 8 and I have to leave my house by 7 to do that. So that means I have to wake up at 5. Like that part of my day is just not negotiable. It's not like, okay, well, I have to be there at 8. So I skip my bowel care in the morning. No. I have woken up at like 3 a.m. before because we have a flight at a certain time. Like it's just not a negotiable for me.
Every day, bowel care. First thing. Okay.
I have for a very, very, very long time. I did it every other day. And then recently I started seeing, so when COVID happened, everything shut down. I took a minute and really started evaluating my health and found a naturopathic doctor. And so she wasn't shut down because she was a doctor. And so I started working with her, doing blood work and things like that. And she really suggested, she was like, I think you should go to the bathroom every day. And I was like, I can't do that. I'm like, you don't blah, blah, blah. But I tried it. And now I don't know how I didn't do it. So
yeah, I agree. I think that's great. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your honesty on that. So you get up really early, you go to the bathroom, then what?
Then I always eat breakfast. And then I usually start my work day between 9 and 10, just depending on the day. So
you're very disciplined. You get right to that desk.
Yep.
And
I do.
Do you have like block scheduling, or what do you do to keep yourself?
I do. Yeah. So I do have block scheduling. Mondays, I don't take appointments at all. I just have an office day because I was feeling that, you live and learn. So I was feeling a little like my office duties were getting neglected. So now I have a full day dedicated to that once a week. My workouts are on Tuesday, Thursday evenings. So I don't take evening appointments on those days. And so it really just leaves like Wednesday, Friday for appointments, and then Tuesday, Thursday for design work.
Okay,
Sometimes
nice. So
we're on
appointments are
Saturday.
meeting out. You still meet people in person on your appointments?
Yeah, I do.
How do you get into houses if they're not accessible?
Oh, such a good question. That probably gave me the most anxiety in the beginning and still does now. My very, 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 very first client I ever saw, I didn't tell her I was in a wheelchair. And I would not advise that. I don't like regret it, but I don't advise that. I just don't think it's a good surprise for people, because then it puts them in like an awkward position as well. And at that point at my website, I don't think I showcased that I was in a wheelchair at all. Like, it was a very basic website.
Wow.
So it's almost like showing up to a first date and you didn't tell the guy, which I know some people do,
I
but
have heard, yeah.
I'm of the belief that it's better just to be upfront at all times. So, yeah, so that was fun. But I do have a portable, so I've learned every time since then to now I tell people I'm in a wheelchair, but at this point, most of them know, because I'm much more upfront with it on my Instagram and my website. But I do remind people every time, I just don't make it a thing. And then I just ask, like, do you have steps into your home? Is there a way, what are your points of entry look like? Because I can bring my portable ramp and usually get up and into the threshold. But if there's like multiple steps up into the home, then I'll ask, like, what does your garage look like? Things like that.
Dang, girl, that's fantastic. Or do you have an assistant that can come with you?
Yeah. So I've been doing that way by myself for probably 2 years. And then I finally, I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, first of all, it's good to have an assistant at an initial consultation meeting, so she can take notes, she can take pictures. Just having other eyes and ears is great. So I am in the process of hiring my cousin / best friend. Her name is Corey. She's already been my design assistant. She's already been helping me with consultations, installations. But I am trying to give her some more responsibility. But when
Okay.
we go together, yeah, then it's great. I know
That
that.
is such an incredible story, because I would never have the guts to bring a portable ranch and try to pull. I would flip back out of my chair probably. I'd have to ask them to help me. I'm just being honest, folks. I am not a good ramper. And if it's too steep, I'm not playing with that. You're pushing me up that ramp.
Yeah, and sometimes it is. And sometimes
Because
it is.
you're a
And I'm like,
C6'7", C6'8", and you don't have core, right?
or no. So I'm
Yeah.
technically C8 from what they've told me.
Yeah. So no core means not really good ramp skills.
Not the best. I do have some tricep though, and I feel like those kick in.
Yeah, but if it's really steep, you kind of have to scrunch your body. You have to scrunch your body forward, right? And I mean, to me, I can't do it. I mean, I'm going up my car ramp with a lot of difficulty. It's like, I'm like,
are hard. Are steep, yeah. I
yeah,
would say anything more steep than a car ramp is probably difficult.
yeah. I can't. Nope, not happening. Okay, so that's a wonderful story. I appreciate that. I'm sure that's going to be very inspiring to people. Get the portable ramp in the back of your car and just keep going. And just get out there but tell people first that you're in a wheelchair. Don't make a big deal of it, but just go there. So let's talk about accessible design for a minute. You and I had a conversation before about a party you recently went to for a bachelorette, and you traveled by yourself. The girls had like a weekend away, and you were the only person in a wheelchair. And tell me a little bit about how you handled that.
Yeah, so you're right. It was here in the Phoenix area, so not too far from home, which I was like, if this gets too hard, I'm just going to bail out and go home. And I did do that to use the bathroom, because it wasn't that the bathroom was inaccessible if I like brought my shower chair, but we were sharing a house with like 10 people and I didn't want to hog the bathroom. Like, for me, that takes a while for me.
Right.
And I'm like, if I'm in the city of where I live, I'm just going to go home. Like, that is more comfortable for me. So it's not so much like a woe is me, victim-y story of like, oh, I have to go home to use the bathroom. It was like, this is my choice. Like, I have to do this either way. And this is the most comfortable way for me to do it. So,
okay. So you get up in the morning and you go home, you do your bowel program, and you take your shower and you go back.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not, you don't always have the luxury of that if you're out of state or you're traveling around, your house is far away. So I would say invest in a like portable shower chair if you are going to be a traveler. There's one by Go Mobility. And Deborah, I can send it to you if you want to link
Yeah,
it.
we'll link that in the show notes. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's super helpful. And I'll send mine too. I use Apex Designs, and I bring that baby. I've taken it to Paris. I've taken it everywhere I went.
Yeah.
The whole world.
Those are so helpful. So
They are.
but
Portable
yeah,
shower chairs. Cool.
yeah, they are. So that portable ramp saves me too. So those are like my two biggest investments that I would say to get. And you can get the portable ramps on Amazon. They come in different lengths too. So I had one of those at the front door, and
You
then I
should
would just
sell
have,
them.
I know I should
You
sell
should
them.
sell
I
them
wanna
in your
make a
store.
prettier one, though. I want to make a prettier one.
Oh my gosh, please,
That's
honey.
like on the list.
Oh,
That's on the list. Someone help me.
absolutely. I love that. Yeah, I mean,
Shower
we Push Living is, all in, obviously we're into inclusive design. No, we're not designers, but, we really do recommend it. And we have a whole Drop the High Tops campaign that is just, one of my biggest things in Florida. I know it's in Arizona too, because Gina's mentioned it, that where the designers of the restaurants, we have the ADA, which if you don't know, people, ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, was founded in 1991. 1990 became effective 92. And the bottom line is that it created a way for us to get into restaurants, into hotels, that we had to have equal access. Wonderful. We all got to go to the movies, the bars, the clubs, the restaurants. Yay, we can get in, and there's bathrooms. I used to have to be carried into the bathroom because I'm kind of a pre-ADA baby. So so that's great. But then they decided to have these fabulous designers walk in and do all the interiors completely inaccessible with high top tables. The entire bar area, they have high benches, high tops, which makes it impossible for us. We can't go to the pool because all the lounge chairs are too low. So we can get to the hotel, and now they've decided to make the beds all high because that's the cool thing now. So we go to this ADA hotel, we go into the ADA room, and we can't get on the bed.
Yeah.
We go down to the bar and we have to look up at everybody. If it's a conference or a meeting, I have a picture. I'm going to send it. I'm going to show people on the article. Just the other day, I went to a business networking meeting in Florida, and I'm sitting there looking up at everybody high top tables. It was bad.
That's terrible. And
so
look,
what did we do with these designers, Maegan? How do we make an impact?
I know. So my way that this is my goal for 2021. And I have been admittedly like lacking in this area. So there's bars and restaurants that I frequent that like maybe the door to the handicap stall is not installed the right way. It's supposed to swing out. Some of them swing in. So when it swings in, some of them aren't big enough for your chair to close the door.
Shut the door.
And it's just a simple fix. And, same with the high tops, my gosh. And so my personal pledge is like, first, let's talk to the owners of these places. Let's get the contact info, whether it's from your waiter, you call the next morning, you find an email, and you just tell them, because for me, I find that it's just ignorance. Like people just don't know, not ignorance in a bad way, but just like, they just don't know. And if they knew, like, hey, this is how this affects people like me, that they would be able to change it.
But then they're going to have to hire a designer like you. They're going to have to hire an ADA expert. They're going to have to, hire contractors to do it. They're not going to do it.
Well, I would like to start there. I would challenge us in the disability community to start there. Be like, okay. Start nice and just be like, hey, like your door hinge is just not installed right. Like that could take them
well, that would obviously
$100 of a handyman fee to have that switched, as opposed to a lawsuit. Like, and not that we need to like bring up litigation in the first like email or phone call, but like in the grand scheme of things, it's not out of their personal pocket. It should have been done anyways. I'm pointing out a mistake to you that's like not in code. So that would be my first step. Same with the high tops. There's a bar here specifically in downtown Phoenix that is right next to a comedy club. And I go to the comedy club often, which is great. But then everyone wants to go to the bar afterwards, and they have like one measly, sad, lonely table. And so for me,
probably by the kitchen.
Oh gosh. And for me, this is what I just think happens. I just don't really think people, when they're designing, I don't think that they have stopped and took the time to be like, oh, what about this group of people? Can they access this? They're just over here in their own world trying to make things pretty or cool or whatever. And that's where the high tops come in. But which,
Wow.
look, I'm not saying that we can't have any high tops. Like, we should, if you want high tops in your bar, have some high tops in your bar, but like also have some low tables as well. Or it's like, here's another one, like where there's only booths. Have you ever been to a
Yeah.
restaurant
Oh,
with
of
only
course.
booths? And you're like, why?
Booths. You
Why?
cannot get even to the side of them to transfer over if you wanted to.
If you wanted to, and personally, I do not like transferring
Oh no,
into
I
a
never
booth to eat.
transferred.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
like a floppy fish with no core
Yeah.
trying to eat a
Yeah.
sandwich. Like, it's not going to work out for me. So, and sitting on the end is just really annoying. So I think that has to be the first step, is
Or
like
you're back
bringing
to
it
the
to the
people in a
local
booth.
person's attention, like the
Mm-hmm.
local manager, the local owner, and be like, look, like you might be within ADA code. Okay. Like, you might have that like one table that's like part of your code, but like, it's always either filled with crap or like someone's sitting at it. Like, do you really think that's sufficient? And then you also feel very singled out if there's just like one lonely low table.
Yeah, and you're looking at everybody's butts.
Yeah. So that would be my first step. My second step, I really haven't thought of, because personally, I need to take my own advice and do that first step too. But I do think
Okay.
I don't think it's malicious, is what I'm trying to get at. I think it's
It's
just
very
people
nice
trying
of
to
you
be
to think
edgy,
that.
innovative, cool. And then we look at like these guidelines of the ADA, which are amazing and awesome and have done so much for our community. Like, I couldn't even imagine
I know.
what it would be like to live
Thank you,
here in
George
the
Bush
ADA.
Sr. May you rest in peace. Yep, he signed it.
It's amazing.
Wonderful.
So like, I think we have to give credit to where it's, where credit is due with that, but we can always be improving. And I think that, especially now, I think people just don't know. So if
Maegan, I'm going to have to, listen, I don't need to be devil's advocate. I think in a lot of cases they don't know. But if you're California Pizza Kitchen and your entire bar area is inaccessible, somebody knew. And
Yeah.
you have to be held accountable. And I'm not writing you. I'm just getting a lawyer. I'm sorry. You just figure it out, because it's going to take a lot. It's a long process. They need to be dropping all those high tops. They shouldn't have had it in the first place. I don't want to go to the restaurant. I want to go to the bar. It's every bar in Florida is inaccessible. Like every hip bar is inaccessible. It is insane. Like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I find it hard to believe that they don't know.
I totally understand and respect that too, but I do think if it's like a local bar, like maybe not
Yeah.
like a bigger chain, that might be the first step. I also see
Exactly.
nothing wrong with getting a lawyer. That probably would be the second step, because I do think that this could be the second wave of what we call accessibility, is, making sure they actually know. And maybe that needs to be done. Maybe that can be done with a nice letter. That's my idyllic world. Or maybe it needs to be done with a lawyer.
Yeah. But even if we do a nice letter, there's so much involved. They really do need to get a consultant, and they need to hire, and that's money, and they're not going to do it unless they have to.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, but I love your idea. I think you're right. For a mom and pop, that is a wonderful way of going about it. And if you have a letter like that, please let me know. I'll PDF it and send it to everybody on the show notes, and people can use the nice letter approach.
Okay.
And we did a really good podcast, and that's why I'm a little adamant about it. One of our first podcasts, was a first, second, or third, was with an ADA consultant who dealt with this specific issue of people who are becoming uncompliant because of design. So it's kind of weird how we're, now we're back into this, and it's like a circle back to you, So I would love to hear your thoughts on that podcast, as well. And I'll link it as well. All right. So we're almost ready to sign off here, but I have a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
I wanted you to give a shout out to some people in the disability community who have been your heroes that you look up to and that you admire.
Oh, this is a good one. One would be locally Gina Shu, which it's been a while since we talked, Gina, because I know you're probably still listening. But she was, like I said, she was my first mentor in the hospital. And it was amazing to see someone accomplished with jeans on, like someone put together. And that was such a huge, moment for me that she gave me. So knowing that like, okay, you know, when you're first injured, you're like, this might be it. Like I might only be able to wear these sweatpants and like, I might just be this way for the rest of my life. And she kind of was the first person to show me that, no, that's not how it can be for you, which was awesome. So I very much admire her. Another girl that I love, her name is Christina Chambers. She also lives here in Arizona. And I think of her as like a little sister, but I think she's going to be doing some like really, really monumental things for the disability community. She's very authentic and she's young and she really utilizes social media to like connect with other people. And I really admire that about her. She also offers fitness classes over Zoom, I think, or she found it on Instagram, but she offers like free fitness classes, which is great. And then my last one I would probably say would be Chelsea Hill. She's the founder of Rolettes. She was on that documentary Push Girls. I think
I love that documentary. Yeah.
I feel like she has created a huge community for disabled women and children to really connect. And I've met so many people through that Rolettes experience and like through her community that, you know, it's just amazing that she kind of created that space for people through dance, but I feel like it's evolved to much more, in my opinion. So
excellent. Very good. Thank you for that. And we will always share the links for all those people's social pages so that everybody who's listening and watching can go there and follow them as well and be inspired by them as well as by you. Okay, so those are your influencers. Let's talk about Maegan in your personal life. What do you do for fun? Let's wrap it up. And you know, you're working all the time. I can see that you're building your empire and you're doing all these wonderful things. You're happily married. You know, what's the hobbies and what's the future hold for you on a personal level?
That's a great question. My hobby that's always been my hobby my whole life is swimming. I love swimming. I sometimes do it in the winter here in Arizona, but that's like my number one summer hobby.
Nice.
I also have 2 dogs that I love so much. I try to play with them and take them on walks as much as possible. I have a Belgian Malinois named Odin, and I've got a little quarantine puppy. She's a corgi named Lou.
Oh, so you adopted it during quarantine?
Yeah.
Fantastic idea. Oh,
Yeah,
they said that the adoption centers were pretty much empty. A lot of people were doing that. That's lovely.
Yeah, we spent some time and, you know, took on a puppy. So that was awesome. Beyond that, I mean, I love food, like trying new restaurants, hanging out with friends and exploring like new places to eat here in Arizona. You know, my career once was a hobby, so that kind of took my hobby away, which was like shopping for my home decor.
That's what they say to do, right? They say do your passion and make it a career.
Exactly. So that's not really a hobby anymore.
That's
I try
fantastic.
actually to avoid like home stores and shopping now that I do it all the time. So that's pretty much it. I feel like I can be, you know, I like to be home. Like I like to chill and hang out with my husband and my dogs and watch TV. Like my personal life is kind of boring. And right now,
hey, listen, you got a full-time career and a company and a husband. You got a lot going on. So I don't think it seems boring at all. And you said you work out at the gym twice a week. You work out. So that's, you know, important. And you're also seeing this holistic person, this medical practitioner, which is huge. Give me 1 or 2 things of advice that you can share with the audience that you think that you've learned that can benefit everyone else.
Like just as far as
the holistic, the new health thing that you're going on.
Okay. I will say that I feel like most people, I don't want to give medical advice, so this is just like my opinion, but I'm not a medical doctor whatsoever, but I would say get your blood drawn at least once a year, if not more, to kind of find where your levels are with that. And I would say I've really, really had the best medical experience with this naturopathic doctor. So she did go to medical school and everything like that. So she is, you know, a doctor. She just has specialized in naturopathic medicine, which really seems to resonate with me. I feel like she has a very, very comprehensive view of my body and really takes the perspective of me being in a chair into account of like,
Wow.
okay, why would this level be off, as opposed to other experiences that I've had with medical doctors, where I'm like, oh, like my knee hurts, and then they give you like a knee pill, and then but it messes everything else up, So, she's just so incredibly diligent. So I would say to people, like my meetings with her are like 2 hours.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
when's the last time you spent 2 hours with a doctor?
And she's covered by your insurance.
She's not covered by my insurance.
Oh, yeah.
But
It's worth it.
And there are some that are. But for me, this is just like a cost that I'm willing to endure. And it's not as much as I thought it would be. Also, like I put off going to the doctor for so long because I thought it would be so expensive. And then here I am, and it's not as expensive as I thought it would be. So I would say maybe for people listening to research that side. It's not.
I love it.
Woo-woo-y,
and think about it. I do that kind of thing too. And I have to admit, you are a businesswoman. I'm a businesswoman. Think about it. If you were off work for 2 weeks because you're sick, or you got a bladder infection, or or whatever, your skin isn't well, or any other number of things that can go wrong with our situations. Being healthy is worth the investment, because not being healthy is a lot more expensive.
It is, absolutely. And that's something that I've come to realize in the past year or two, and why I'm working towards that. So, yeah, I mean, my health has not always been my number one priority. That's not, that's probably my biggest struggle personally, that I'm just trying to tackle every day.
And the COVID, that's wonderful, Maegan. I'm very proud of you for doing that, because, you need to be healthy to be able to keep up this new business you're going. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us, and our renewed and new, Push Living podcast coming back again after COVID. We've been on a little bit of I guess you can say a hiatus. So I appreciate you being our first guest coming back, and it's a pleasure to meet you. And I look forward to supporting you in every way we can through Push Living. And you're just a blessing to the community. And I hope anybody who needs you will reach out. Again, look at your show notes. I'll have her. I'm assuming you're on Facebook too?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So all your social media, your phone number will be there. So if you need a consult, please try not to ask her for freebies. She's a businesswoman. And so, respect that. If you wouldn't ask your doctor for free, don't ask Maegan. That's the rule. All right, my love. It's a pleasure to meet you. We look forward to seeing you grow.
Thank you, Deborah. I'm honored for having me.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Bo wants to say hi. Bo, you want to say hi? My Doberman's here now. Say hi, Bo. Come. No. Take care, my love. I want to see pictures of your husband and pictures of your dog. Send them to me and we'll add them to the show notes. Okay. Bye.
Perfect.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye, everyone.
This podcast is sponsored by Push Living Photos, because using disability images in your marketing will help you create a positive and inclusive brand. When you buy Push Living photo stock images, you get great photos of real people. And you can feel good knowing that your purchase is helping to change lives. This is the only stock image library that not only pays their photographer royalties, but also pays their models with disabilities for each sale. For them, this could mean help with out-of-pocket medical expenses, wheelchairs, home modifications, adapted vehicles, and more. The benefits are as diverse as our models. Show the world you care about people living with disabilities. Visit our website to purchase stock photos, join our team of models, or register to become a photographer. PushLivingPhotos.com.